This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your source for the latest Iowa ag news headlines right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, Mark Magnuson, and Andy Peterson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Dustin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Hoffman. Today is Wednesday, the 19th of February, 2025. So glad you could join us here today. Coming up a little later on in the program, we'll talk with Cory Bratland of agmarket.net to find out how the markets closed up here today. But first, we're going to stick with the folks at agmarket.net and wrap up our conversation today with Ross Baldwin as we talk about what's happening in the cattle markets. We got a 30,000-foot view of what this could mean and what the situation was last week. But today we start off with finding out if the volatility he's expecting is going to lean more towards the negative side, positive side, or could we see a 50% back and forth kind of situation? Ross tells us more.
Yeah, I think we're going to continue to see volatility in both directions.
Okay.
I mean, we started the week here on Monday, and live cattle were trading anywhere from $1 to $2 higher on Monday. Feeder cattle were $2 to $3 higher. And here we are. We've lost those gains for the week, and they've stepped right back in on Tuesday after we were trading higher on Monday and sold the thing off on Tuesday. And I really think we're going to continue to see this kind of volatility. But I think the risk is more so to the downside here right now. You've got a managed money crowd that's holding a large long position, and you've got the buckets are favoring the negative side right now. And we've seen here this week where it seems like they're more content on selling rallies, and open interest has ballooned to some of the largest levels that we've seen in the last 5 years. And we've seen on these big sell-offs here recently, open interest is actually coming out of the market, which is usually an indicator that it's managed money liquidation. So I think it's something to keep in mind. I mean, right now, live cattle, April's been holding support right around the 50-day moving average here, which today we closed right at the 50-day, 195.72. But, until we would see a close above a previous day's high, or really we need to get above the 9-day moving average for live cattle and feeder cattle to think that maybe we've put a short-term low in. But I think moving forward, I would be more in the camp that this market's going to be under pressure as with how it looks right now, just given this managed money position, and it looks like they're more into the sell rally type mode.
And of course, the question that everybody has on mind is, what is this going to mean for me at the meat counter at the grocery store when I go to buy beef?
I mean, here, the cutout market, it's a lagging indicator from when you see the cutout, what it prints daily versus when it starts to have an impact on the retail space. But I mean, with the cutout backing off the way it has recently, and like I said, it's very seasonal for the cutout to back off this time of the year with just being winter and less demand. But I would think over the next few weeks, you probably start to see some of the beef cuts, back up just a little bit. But I do think the cutout is still going to have very good support here. I mean, this year, if barring something from left field doesn't come out that none of us are talking about, I mean, at the end of the day, we still have tight numbers across the cattle industry. And, it wouldn't surprise me to see the Packers, pull the reins in here over the next, few weeks, month, a little bit. But once we start coming out of winter and you get back into your strong demand season, I think you're going to see slaughter levels pick right back up. And we're still going to be dealing with tighter numbers here in the U.S. So from a fundamental perspective, the market is still going to be in good shape as we head through 2025. I mean, I still think the market's in good shape. I mean, especially as we get out into summer. This market was no question due for some sort of a correction. I mean, especially when we started trading futures and cash. I mean, above 205, and heck, we got cash in the north up above 210. I mean, and with where the futures market got up to, I mean, it's just due for a correction. Now, the risk always is how deep is that correction before you find some good support. But I mean, once we get down the road a little bit longer, I still think the cattle market, I mean, it's got the fundamentals still on its side with tighter numbers here in the U.S.
course, you can always visit with the folks at agmarket.net by going right there to their website. We'll have all that information while coming up during the closing markets as well. Thanks to Ross Baldwin for his insight as to what's happening in that cattle market right now. We're going to take a short break and hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, it's the closing markets. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net. We're back on Ag Matters PM, now on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Time to talk about the closing markets, and we're being joined again by Cory Bratland of agmarket.net. And Cory, what did we see come out of those markets today?
Yeah, overall, we had a choppy day. We spent most of the morning a little bit higher. We had a little follow through on the corn prices after March contract yesterday. Finally broke above $5. So we had another kind of round of buying come into the marketplace. So then we've had a little follow through this morning. We are also seeing a little bit of dryness show up back in Argentina with some little bit of heat for a few days. So that supported the market earlier, but it seemed like the money flow kind of come in there early on. They got their contracts bought, and then we started to slip lower, and we going to end the day here a little lower, 3 to 4 lower corn, 6 to 7 lower on beans, and 13 to 15 lower on these wheat prices.
So outside of Argentina, weather right now, I mean, we know South American weather is going to play the biggest role in the grains. Did anything else kind of come in and affect that here today?
We on the soybeans, what I noticed is some technical side of things on the charts that we did see the 20-day moving average get tested. We bounced off that. Now it seemed like we're going to push down lower, maybe kind of test this old 100-day moving average sitting down below us, about another 10, 12 cents below the market. So other than that, the market is really looking for some new information to trade on. So, when that happens here, the market's going to kind of consolidate and kind of head sideways, maybe a little lower. We've had a nice run. So a little bit of a correction here would not be out of line by any means.
Then switching over to the livestock side of things, we know cattle's had some interesting amount of volatility. In fact, earlier here in the program, we talked with Ross Baldwin about the situation we're seeing in the cattle market. Talk a bit about what happened today and also what happened with those hogs today.
Yeah, cattle are the same way with grains, just kind of looking for some new information. Sounds like packer margins are in the red. We got some smaller kills here going on. So overall, cattle is just kind of consolidating, looking for kind of a direction here. So they were feeder cattle were down, 50, 60, 70 cents. Live cattle were actually up about 50, 60 cents. Hog prices, what I'm seeing is that the carcass values really dropped, and that has kind of caused here a big sell-off, being down, $350 here on the day. So, hog prices, a couple days ago, I was getting a little friendly, what looks like, but boy, here the last 2 days, they've been under a lot of pressure and look like there might be a little bit of more downside coming here in this very short term.
And what's leading to that pressure on the hog carcasses there?
I think just a little bit of lack of demand overall for the time being. We've got Mexico hasn't really been has been a little bit softer of a buyer here of U.S. pork here as of recent. So,
all right. Well, if folks want to talk about some of the options they have, whether that is for marketing, maybe some of the protections they have in place to make sure they maintain a profit in this volatility, what's the best way for them to get in touch with agmarket.net?
Yeah, 2 ways. You can head on over to our website at agmarket.net, or else give us a call at our toll-free number, which is 844-424-6758.
All right, Cory, well, we thank you so much for the insight. Look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Dustin.
And that was Cory Bratland of agmarket.net. Let's go ahead and take a look at the closing numbers on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network market screen. You can find it online at iowaagnet.com. March corn down 4.5 at 497.5. Soybeans down 6 3/4 at 1031 3/4. Soybean meal up 90 cents at 294.70. Soy oil down $1 at 46.30. Chicago wheat down 12 3/4 at 592 even. Kansas wheat down 13.5 at 613 3/4. Minneapolis spring wheat down 7.5 at 633.5. Oats down 2 3/4 at 341 1/4. Live cattle up 75 cents at the close, 194.77. Feeders down 70 cents at 269.02. Lean hogs down $3.45 at 89.75. Pork cutouts unchanged at 96.10. Class 3 milk down 45 cents at 19.15. And that's been our closing markets, and that brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all our content online, iowaagnet.com, as well as follow us on Facebook, X, and our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon when you can be notified of every video project we put out. Also, don't forget you can find podcasts, replays of our markets, news stories, IAM, and much more at iowaagnet.com. From the IRN studios in Des Moines, I'm Dustin Huffman. For Riley Smith, Mark Magnuson, and Andy Peterson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.